What's up, guys? This is Firestorm Gaming here with some Bioshock gameplay, and I also wanted to talk about Bioshock 4, or I guess they don't know what the title is going to be of it because obviously, you had Bioshock, Bioshock 2, Bioshock Infinite, which is 1, 2, and 3, and number 4, we don't know what that's going to be called, but it's a really interesting discussion because with the Bioshock series, now the guy that dreamed this whole thing up, his name is Ken Levine, and he was working for 2K Studios, but after Bioshock Infinite, he ended up quitting. And so everybody, because of this, started speculating like, oh my gosh, is there going to be a Bioshock 4? Because the creator, the guy that came up with this whole concept, and this guy actually won awards for being one of the best storytellers of a generation in terms of video game storytelling. So this guy quits 2K after Bioshock Infinite. He just got burnt out. Seemed like he just got overwhelmed by the situation because the studio got too big, the project got too big, and he wasn't able to handle all of it. Now, this is what happens when you have a big game publisher with a big game, is you literally have entire studios dedicated just to producing the next version of that game. And so that's what happened at 2K Studios. It grew to where he had a team of like, I don't know, like 200, 250 people, something crazy like that, and just decided that's, he wasn't healthy, or his, family life, or I don't know, whatever the heck it was affecting. So this guy quits, and since then, everybody's been wondering, okay, like what the heck is going on with the Bioshock series? Is there going to be a Bioshock 4? And basically, if you look at the different statements, and I did some research on this, and the most interesting statement was by the CEO of 2K, and his statement was that basically the Bioshock series is a core series for the publisher 2K, who 2K is the gaming publisher, and so regardless of whether or not Ken Levine is a part of the process or not, they're gonna keep the series alive. So they would be stupid to pass up on it. And actually, it's interesting, too, because with Bioshock 2, it sounds like Ken Levine wasn't as involved as he was with the first Bioshock. Like, with the first Bioshock, he dreamt up the concept. He was basically running the entire show. And it sounds like with Bioshock number 2, he was actually less involved with that game as he had been with the first game. So, all that to say, it's it's not something people need to worry about. I think there's definitely gonna be a Bioshock 4. I would be super surprised by it because this is a super high in demand game. And wow, we are going to crap here real fast. Oh man, we're gonna throw some bees. Wow, I hate that. So it sounds like 6 splicers show up here all at once. Oh man. I'm playing at a pretty hard difficulty here, so this is a challenge. It's kind of a grind on here because it just takes forever to kill people. And you take a lot of damage at the same time, so it's been kind of a grind playing this time around. But anyways, yeah, so it's super interesting because there was a lot of speculation when Ken Levine left the company that was going to be the end of the series, but that's never the case. Now, the reason why Bioshock 2 was kind of similar to what Bioshock 1 was, with new characters and, some different twists in the plot and all that. But it was still kind of run-of-the-mill in terms of what the first Bioshock was. And part of that was because it's not like they reinvented the game. And it wasn't like Ken Levine was super involved to the extent that he could reinvent the game. Oh, man, we pissed off one of the fat boys here. I think those bees went and got him, and now he's pissed off and trying to throw grenades at me. Doesn't look like he's coming out, though. That's good. I don't want to fight these guys. I don't have it. I don't have enough health to fight one of those guys. I don't have enough ammo. I'm not in the mood right now. You have to be in a certain kind of mood, of which I am not right now. And I already got the little girl. So I hate how these big daddies respawn, because you'll take them out, and it's like the only game where you take out like what's supposed to be the boss of the game, and then they respawn on you. And so you always got to check and be like, oh, does that one have a little girl with it? Does it? And sometimes like you'll think they respawn because it'll show up in the exact same area that you had that the previous one had, and then all of a sudden you'll literally have two with little girls behind them. So it's super confusing on here. You always have to figure out which one has the little girls with them and which ones don't. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, it's just been an interesting discussion. There's a lot of people speculating now. With Bioshock Infinite, the studio waited till probably about a year before the release of Bioshock Infinite before they announced the series, or not the series, before they announced the next game, and that's probably what's going to happen with Bioshock 4. There is going to probably be a Bioshock 4. I would be super surprised if there wasn't. And mainly going off of the CEO of 2K, his statements about it being a valuable franchise, and he actually said it's going to be a permanent franchise of 2K. And so when he says permanent franchise, that means that they want to keep the ball rolling with this franchise. Now, in terms of release dates and what that looks like going forward, we don't know. You can tell that they're already working on it. They'd be stupid to not be working on it. So they're already spending money. They've already got developers working on it. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see and they're not aware of. And sometimes game development, there's games that you can spend 3 years, even up to 5 years developing before it actually gets released. So expect that Bioshock 4 is in fact under development. Expect that those discussions are happening. And I think most of the discussions are probably along the lines of, is this going to be, with, like, obviously we've had the current generation of consoles, and PlayStation's released a upgraded PlayStation 4. It's like the equivalent of a PlayStation 4.5. But is that enough processing power and enough graphics compatibility for them to release the next game, or are they going to wait till the next generation of consoles to release that game? We don't know. But I'd be surprised if they didn't come out with something before the release of the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox. I would be really, really surprised if they didn't release something before then, but we'll have to see. It's probably... And it's interesting with game development because, in terms of graphics, like, people think like, oh my gosh, you have to do do so much more work to make the graphics better. And it's like, well, you do to an extent, but it's really interesting because actually a relative of mine works and does a lot of computer rendering programs. And it's interesting because basically, like, in terms of graphic quality, in terms of how good things look, the limitation is always the computer system. And so that's what you have with gaming, is that all of these games, they could render it in a photorealistic resolution to where you're just like, oh my gosh, this looks so real that I can't even tell the difference. They could literally do that to an extreme extent. But the problem is that in order to produce a system that could process all of that data fast enough, it would cost gamers thousands of dollars to buy a system like that. And that's why they don't do it, because nobody has the money for it. So video game companies are basically forced to produce the best possible product that they can, given the gaming systems that are on the market. And as of right now, obviously what's on the market, it has limitations. It's not, we haven't gotten to that point where things are photorealistic. And yes, when PlayStation 5 comes out and when the next generation of consoles comes out, games are going to look a lot better than they did on the previous console, because that's just a natural progression of having more computing power and more ability to process data. But don't expect... it's anyways, I guess all that to say is that, we'll see what happens with Bioshock, because like I said, they can already do, in terms of graphics and all of that, it's all within the wheelhouse already. It's not difficult to make things more photorealistic or anything like that. Gameplay, they've already got a certain gameplay in place already, so it just kind of becomes a matter of, okay, how much do they want to change the gameplay, what kind of environment do they want to have, what's the storyline, things like that. And then once they get that figured out, that's going to affect the release date. And there's a lot of money and marketing that goes into it as well. Like, if you're going to release a game, you don't want to do it too quickly, because there is such a thing as releasing games too quickly, too in terms of consecutive game releases. Like if you take a legendary game series and then all of a sudden you release the next version of the game that comes out just a little too quick, you can actually kill the game series. And so you look at game series that have been successful, like for instance, Fallout 3, they released it and it was a huge hit. It made tons of money, massively successful game. And Fallout, they waited several years to release Fallout 4, and so they let the next generation of consoles come in, and they took the time to fix all the gameplay elements. And it's funny because like when I played Fallout 3, I'm sitting there playing Fallout 3, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they need to fix like this, and it'd be great if you could have jetpacks, and it'd be great if you could do this, and this, and this, and this. And then it's funny because then all of a sudden when Fallout 4 came out, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys literally fixed every single thing that I would have recommended you fix. And the same thing happened with Just Cause 2. When Just Cause 3 came out, I was annoyed as heck with Just Cause 2 just because of certain things that were as small as, not being able to travel across land very far with trying to grapple and parachute. And then when Just Cause 3 came out, all of a sudden they fixed all that. So it was like, wow, you guys are amazing. You totally fixed everything that should have been fixed. So, you can kind of expect that similar with Bioshock, like certain gameplay elements that players don't like, certain things that people haven't been happy with in the past. They're going to iron those things out. And they're just going to give it time, like usually the life cycle with successful game series is it's usually like one big game per console. That's usually what companies shoot for. So that's kind of what's happened. Like if you look at Grand Theft Auto, for instance, every time a new console comes out, here comes the latest Grand Theft Auto game. And that's kind of what massively successful gaming series tend to do. So we'll see what happens with Bioshock. They are about due though for a new game here soon if you go by that timeline, but at the same time they might wait until the PlayStation 5 comes out and the latest Xbox and try to blow everybody out of the water. So we'll see what happens. I can almost guarantee you there's a lot more of a marketing decision going into this than player demand, because players want this game to come out and they will buy it. But I think 2K is waiting for just the right moment because they know all the players that have played all the Bioshock games and liked it are gonna buy the next Bioshock game when it comes out. Like everybody knows that. But it's what they're looking at is how can we time it up so that we can get new players on board. That's always the big thing with game releases. So expect it to come out. I wouldn't be surprised if right when the next generation of consoles comes out, I would not be surprised if 2K released Bioshock 4 with all the new consoles, like right in that time frame, because that would be absolutely brilliant. So that's my wild guess as to when they might release it, but feel free to let me know your thoughts. Feel free to post in the comment section if you found more information online about this game and when it's coming out. Feel free to let me know because I would love to hear your thoughts as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe to our channel. We'll have a lot more content coming your way in terms of gaming news, and I am getting a new PC in the near future here, so I will have all of the latest titles here. So look forward to that. Feel free to subscribe, and again, thanks for watching.